agents and investors from across the country. This is a big day today. This is Thursday, October 20th, 2022. And this is All the Leads Mastermind podcast number 400. We made it to 400, guys. Woohoo! Applause. And I don't see any confetti, but it's worth celebrating that these days and times that anything lasted for 400 weeks. And we're not done yet. I was trying to, as any of you who have been here for a while know, it's kind of like an inside joke. I come up with a different adjective every week and to describe our subscribers in this call. And I've tried to tone it down lately so Bruce doesn't have to get the definition of the word. But I was trying to think of a good adjective today. And I don't know, it just came to my mind, proactive. And then I looked up on Google. The definition of proactive is creating or controlling a situation by causing something to happen rather than responding to it after it's happened. And I thought that was an awesome definition, not only of our subscribers and hopefully our company, but also of what we try to teach. And I thought back to the call we did on yesterday on Clubhouse. If you guys are missing that, it's a great opportunity. At least go back and listen to the recording. We don't have a huge audience, a couple dozen people right now, but we had two people that were brave enough to get on the hot seat. And we basically spent a half hour, four really experienced real estate coaches kind of tearing apart and putting back together their business. And they both were a little bit frustrated, experiencing some challenges. And I paid Bruce a very sincere compliment. I told him, back when I was coming up in the business, I kind of winged it for the first 7 years or so. And then I got into coaching and I got into what was the state of the art coaching at the time. But honestly, that really what it was is just be proactive, treat real estate like a business and go take action. But compared to what Bruce and Chuck teach, they taught us some magical words to say and memorize. And then we had to call 100 people a day and recite those magical words. I mean, that was the extent of the coaching. And guess what? As primitive as that sounds now, it actually worked because it was proactive. It was something that, nobody else is doing. And when I listened to those two calls last night, Bruce has really, and Chuck, have taken it one step further. Not only really being proactive in the total sense of the word, but it kind of reminds me, somebody told me one time the best way to avoid or the best way to handle an objection is to make sure it never comes up in the first place. And that's kind of what the proactive coaching does. Control the situation. And Bruce, the second guy you had on last night, you were really good with that. Lead with a gamut where you're controlling their response. You want them to say no. And that gains your rapport and you are controlling the situation and eliminating any serious objections before they really come up. So I'll say again, welcome pro agent active investors to our 400th call. And Bruce, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, Jim. Well, thank you. I'm going to start this week by just kind of letting everyone know. Jim just gave me an amazing compliment, and I greatly appreciate it. But the truth is, I've probably failed more than the majority of you guys. Most likely have experienced greater failure, have had certain things that may not have come as easy to me and my business as certain things that come easy to many people on this call, including you, Jim. I mean, you're kind of giving me the compliment, but honestly, I feel like you've been through it as well. You've got the exact same pedigree and degree of coaching. So what I will kind of tell you guys is that I just finished about a 3-hour drive this morning. And the whole drive, I had a earbud in and I was wrapping up a book that's a really, really powerful book. And it's called The Third Door, The Third Door. And just kind of give you guys a little bit of warning on it. And this is not a negative thing, but it was written by a very young guy, very, very young college dropout that dropped out of college in order to write this book, where he went around and interviewed lots of the most successful people in the world. He interviewed Tim Ferriss, he interviewed Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, different people like that. And he's reading it, and you can obviously tell that this is a kid that, based on the voice that's reading his own book, doesn't sound like he has a lot of life experience and is making a lot of mistakes. And all of those mistakes resonated with me so much. And the journey that he went through to figure out how to get in front of famous people that don't want to be bothered and hassled. And it was spectacular. And there was a piece of advice given in the book from one of his mentors that he asked for what the magic formula was. And the guy said, you idiot, there is no magic formula. It's the art of taking small incremental actions every single day. And then he got in front of someone on an interview at some point later, and that person said, you cannot grow without failure. You cannot grow without failure. So I'm here to try to teach you guys how to avoid certain failures. And yes, you should take some of the failures that I've experienced in life and use those and avoid those failures. So my job is to help you avoid some of those. But if you really want to grow, you have to push through any timidity that you may have and just step out there and fail. And when you fail, figure out how not to make that mistake again. But guess what? You're still going to make others. You just have to figure out how not to make that one again. And then go out and fail again the next day and the next day and the next day. And the more you fail, the faster you grow. If you spend your entire career in life avoiding failure, you will not grow. You'll look back at the last year, month, 10 years, life, career, and you'll recognize that you haven't changed a whole lot. You haven't grown a whole lot because you've spent all that time avoiding the mistakes. Embrace the mistakes. They're fine. There's nothing wrong with making mistakes. Are they comfortable? Absolutely not. But the more uncomfortable they are, the more you're going to grow, the more you're going to change. So that's my opening monologue. I don't see Chuck here. I don't know if Chuck's here. Jim, do you have anything to?
I'm here.
Okay, I hear Chuck. There he is. There he is. Anything to add, Chuck?
No, I think it really comes from a standpoint that what we're teaching here and how we go through the orientation, take the steps. Don't wait until all the pieces are in place, because we give you enough to get going and you stick with us and you can continue to grow as you go.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Perfect. Well, we've got one hand up. Let me go ahead and tell everyone that this call, I see tons of familiar faces. So I am going to be a broken record for a quick moment, tell you guys what this is all about for those that are joining for the very first time. This is an open format call. This is for you guys. This is, we're challenging, not only encouraging, but challenging you guys to raise your hand, type your questions in. If you're watching this live, you're not on the Zoom, maybe you're on Facebook or YouTube live stream, type questions in. If you're here on Zoom, raise your hand. We want to hear your questions, your wins, and your ideas. Those are the three things that we want to hear from you guys. And I'm really glad Michael's raised his hand, because most of the time we're spend 30 minutes begging for hands to go up, and then we'll get like 15 hands up 10 minutes before we end. So we'll go to Michael here in a second. We're hosting this on behalf of all the leads, just in case you didn't know. We provide probate leads, divorce leads, and pre-probate leads, along with systems to be able to work those leads. So if you are not a subscriber and you're interested in any of those lead sources, and more importantly, systems and coaching that go along with those lead systems, let our folks know. You can do that by going to alltheleads.com or calling our support line. If you go on All the Leads, we have a new chat feature as well. So if you go on there and want to go to the bottom right, you can chat us if you're interested in getting pricing on your leads or any coaching or systems information on what we do. With that said, I'm going to pop over to Michael. Michael White, if you would unmute yourself, please.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Good deal. So I'm going to put this out to the entire group. I have a request that goes out to everybody. I'm looking for a lead magnet of some type. It could be a checklist. It could be a 3-page manifesto. It could be, I don't know what it could be, but some type of lead magnet. Trying not to create one on my own. I'm trying to get one that's already existing. And so if anyone has one that works or that's been well received by potential clients, the question is, are you willing to share it with me? And if you are, could
Michael,
you please send it to me?
are you talking probate specific or just real estate leads in general?
Yeah, so I'm looking at it from an inherited property side, not so much probate.
Okay.
Someone that has a property to sell, who has the problems of having a lot of clutter they need to deal with, 30, 40 years of stuff they need to get rid of, something that can help someone solve a problem. And I want to use, like I said, a checklist or some kind of tip guide or something that they can download and get them started. But yet I can collect their information.
Are you willing to record any video for this?
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, as long as it's so that I can send to them. Again, the whole idea is they click on a link and I'll send them whatever, and they have to fill out a form though for me to send it to them. That's not. I don't care if it's video, PDF, JPEG, whatever. It doesn't matter to me. I'll do it.
What's your delivery mechanism going to be? How are you going to let them know about the freebie that they need to opt in for?
Yeah, so I'm going to add it to the postcard. I'm going to target out of state PRs, and on part of the postcard is going to say, hey, look, download my free, download this checklist on how to better organize your clean out, and go to, have a www.inheritedproperty.com on there. They go to the link, pops up, hey, give me your name, address, phone number, whatever. And then it automatically sends out the whatever, video, PDF, JPEG, manifesto, whatever it may be.
In addition to the website on your postcard, I would put a QR code as well. Some people never trust a QR code. Some people do. I would put it on there for ease, because if they have to go, oh, now I got to go to my computer. Look, I'm walking from my mailbox toward the trash can. I see this website. If I have to walk to my computer, if I have to type something in, they might not do it. So, but they might. I would put the website and a QR code on as your delivery mechanism. 2 magnets that I've used in the past. I used a vendor spreadsheet. I got absolutely nothing on that. It could just be the market that I'm in. It really didn't generate a whole lot. So I started sending my vendor list out separately on a flyer. And then I also used a probate checklist, and All the Leads does have a probate checklist that honestly, we've just kind of been wrapped up here recently. It's based off one that I used for several years. You guys, Alyssa, you can please barge in and interrupt me if I'm offering something that isn't ready yet, but I think that our probate checklist is ready. The truth is, inherited properties, I would probably offer some sort of a very short educational video on how to maximize value on inherited property. So that would probably be my opt-in. I would have them go to a landing page with a little squeeze box on there that says, to access your maximizing your value, please pop your information in. You can build a landing page on a site called Lead Pages. There are dozens of other places you can build a landing page, but that's what I do. I'd try to tie it to an informational video so that they can see your face, hear your voice, and start to build some rapport with you from a distance. And then, Michael, of course, anybody else as well.
Yeah, this is Chuck. I want to stir the pot a little bit because I want to dig deeper on what you said. You said you wanted to target out-of-state PRs with an information product that, or some sort of lead magnet that would explain to them how to better organize their clean out. Now, if they're out of state and they're going to be coordinating a clean out for a property that's, an extensive distance away from them, you may be better served to identify, more of the resources, and ultimately that report or whatever you would send to them would culminate in, or we can do it for you, right? So I think it's I don't know that that messaging would be specific to out-of-state PRs. And I'm keen on out-of-state PRs because they are priority number one. They have the highest likelihood of needing help from feet on the street in your local market. And I think maybe the messaging for that specific target might be better served to be something else than,
Yeah.
how
I
to
hear what you're
better
saying.
organize that.
Like, I just want them to click on the link and give me their contact info. I mean, I'll give them a $10 gift certificate to a restaurant if they click on it. I just want their information, and then I can start promoting to them what we do and how we do it.
Yeah.
I gotta get
So
your information first.
making that enticement much more valuable to them, I think would be a priority. And I'm not against sending something exclusive to out-of-state PRs versus those folks that are in your local market. I think that might be what you had described would be better for PRs that would be in your local market already, but have something that's more enticing for out-of-state looking at their particular situation.
Yeah, but like what? I mean, what's going to be more enticing? I mean, the biggest challenge is going to be getting the property cleaned out. So we're just talking, about I'm speaking to their problem with cleaning something out. That's what I'm speaking to. So, I mean, what's more enticing than that?
Well, and I guess maybe I'm just assuming that you're talking about, in that report or that message would be more focused on how they could DIY that type of situation. Maybe my assumption's incorrect, because I think there it would be more linked to what resources are available in your local market to be able to help them manage that from a distance, which ultimately that message at the end would be, we can do that for you. We make settling this estate easier for you than doing it alone from a distance.
What you might consider, Michael, and this is going to have to go directly into your terms and conditions on the offer, but you might consider doing something that says, hey, to get a free property clean out, visit this site, and potentially tie that to obviously doing real estate business with you. Look, if you're not gonna, so I put food on my table by helping people sell houses that they've inherited. I'm happy to coordinate this for you and arrange a quote. Anybody that works with me with the sale of a house, I do it for free. So you might let your magnet, your bait, be a free something versus just a resource or information. The word free usually attracts more eyeballs than just information.
Yeah,
hey, Michael, I had
a free 30-minute consultation, clean out consultation. I see that.
Does that scare you? A free does it scare you to consult with someone for 30 minutes?
No, it doesn't scare me a bit. I just want to get I want to get their name, address, and phone number, and I want to get in front of them. That's all I care about.
All right, that's my point, is if you're offering something that's not a little tiny bit scary without some terms and conditions behind it, it's probably not going to be powerful enough to grab their attention. If somebody said, hey, get a free consultation to me, I'm never going to opt into that person's page. Everybody gives a free consultation. That just doesn't mean anything anymore. So if you're going to do something free, put some meat behind it that makes them anxious to get that, find out how they can get that free resource. So a consultation, nobody charges for those things. So don't do consultation. Do something else. If you're going to do free, do something else, do something bigger. And then terms and conditions makes it to where they need to work with you on the sale in order to get that thing that you're offering.
And Michael, I had kind of a fun but a crazy idea popped into my head. Bruce started by asking you, do you want to do video? And this could work whether you do video or pictures. I'm the least savvy marketing guy in probably in the company, but I do know that thumbnails, your opening picture is really important. And we've told agents over the years, if you're going to do a video, go take it in front of the courthouse. If you feel like the clean out is important, go to the local dump or landfill and get a picture standing in front of this pile of trash and say something like, I got, all this came out of the last estate sale that I worked. Yours may not be this bad, but if you do have an issue with junk, give me a call. Something provocative, a picture of an overwhelming amount of, and make it so ridiculous that they know it isn't true, but it might be a real good attention getter. And I think that can work as a video or as a picture.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, but anyway, I'll put my name, my contact info in the chat box. Like I said, anyone out there in the group is using something right now, please send it to me. I'd be more, I appreciate any kind of free information you guys in the group, would be willing to send to me.
And,
Bruce?
Yeah, totally. That's awesome. And then if anybody has any ideas that they'd like to share that they've used, hop on here as well and share it. Thanks, Michael. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Bruce, I don't see any hands up. Joan Lucas just chatted me directly. I don't know if the rest of you can see that, but I think it's worth going over what she said. She said, just curious, do your leads include the PR and the attorney info, date of death, date of probate? Unfortunately, I purchased leads from another company. I'm not getting any of that information or any support. She wants to switch over to ATL. And she said, do you also include marketing materials, postcards, trifolds, customized things that I can just, templates that I can just format and put in place? And I answered her with one word and said, yes, we include all of that. And I also wanted to, I know Darcy's on the call. Darcy, you might want to reach out to Joan Lucas if she's in our system. If she isn't, Joan, if you're not in our system as a lead, send an email to Darcy at alltheleads.com. and she'll go over the whole program and give you a glimpse of everything.
Thanks for teeing up a commercial, Joan, because we do all that. I will tell you guys that periodically there are certain counties that don't release data on the additional heirs. Occasionally, there may be a county that doesn't cooperate with us on all this, but by and large, we get the PR, the decedent, the PR's address, the decedent's address, the attorney's address, phone number, email. We get additional heirs and contact numbers for the additional heirs. So it's basically a lot of detail. It's possible that you're in a county that can't get all that, but 90% of our counties get 3 or 4 phone numbers for different heirs, attorney information, and you can do your letters, websites, brochures, everything. Get freebies with us as well.
And also emails. We do get emails, not a majority of them, but a significant number. We do get good emails also.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And we did, it's difficult for me to go in and see a lot of the messages that are coming through just because I'm working on one monitor today, but I did see a message come through on YouTube asking about an inheritance lead that's had a property for 6 months. You reached out. I'm not sure who this is. There's just kind of a username there. So this individual reached out and gave her an offer. She said that she had a few questions, but now you've been reaching out for 2 weeks and you feel ghosted. What should you do? All right. Polite diligence is your biggest asset. So polite diligence. This is probably not the person that I'm going to call 3 times a day, but most likely I'm gonna call every 2 to 3 days at this point for the next week or two, and then maybe drop it back to once a week for a few weeks, once every 2 weeks for a couple of months, that kind of thing. So gradually you space it out. I will tell you that people get really, really busy. You feel ghosted at times, and I've felt that way many times, only to hear 3 months later, I'm so sorry. I wasn't trying to ghost you. I was just really busy and I didn't have time to think about the house. That happens sometimes where someone is not intentionally ghosting you. Unfortunately, we don't know if that's the case. Maybe there's just other priorities that are shoved in front of the house right now. Maybe they're ghosting you. We don't know, and you're not going to know without some diligence. What I might do, if the property is vacant, I may do a mailing to the property, to the vacant house that the decedent lived in, addressed to the PR that you've been talking with. Okay. I'm probably also going to do another letter to the PR's address. And in that letter, it's not going to be a lot of information. It's just going to be a really short, like, paragraph letter. Hey, I don't want to be a bother. I don't know if other priorities came up or if my offer just wasn't something you were interested in. If other priorities came up, I'd still love a chance to talk with you. Please review the summary of my offer on the second page. And then that second page, you're going to put a summary of your offer. All right, so you want to be very polite. You want to acknowledge that that it's possible that your offer just wasn't good enough. They don't want to talk to you. Go ahead and acknowledge that. But also acknowledge that sometimes other priorities come up, life happens, and maybe they're just really busy and not quite ready to talk yet. Say, I don't know what to do here. I don't know if I'm bothering you or if staying in touch is a good thing. Please let me know. Okay, it's perfectly fine to acknowledge that you may be bothering someone. But with that letter, you're also kind of subliminally sending them the message that, look, I'm going to keep bothering you unless you let me know. Don't say that, but kind of let them know a little bit with some unspoken words that, look, if this just isn't for you, let me know so that I don't bug you anymore. Chuck, Jim, anything?
Nope, I think that's well said. I don't see any other hands up. We got a good turnout today. There must be somebody else that has a question, needs some help. Let us coach you. Raise your hand and get in the hot seat.
So while we're waiting on some hands, I'm going to float a challenge out to everyone on the call. I'd love to pull someone up. I say put you on the hot seat. It's not that. I don't want to embarrass anyone. But if there's anyone here that is maybe struggling in your business, you don't have the business that you're looking for, probate or otherwise, and you want 5-10 minutes of just kind of free coaching in front of a room, raise your hand. Love to sort of break apart your business a little bit and see what areas of improvement are needed and give you a game plan to improve those. So if there's anyone that matches that description, pop your hand up. We'll call you up.
Yeah, I mean, we can basically look at it from a standpoint of what's the biggest problem you're facing right now, and we can start talking about it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Chuck, what's the biggest challenge you're facing right now?
Man, I got too much stuff to do. That's the big thing for me is juggling a lot of this. As I mentioned last week, I had multiple attorney meetings last week. Went fantastic. This week, I went to my county's estate planning council meeting for the second time. It's a quarterly meeting. And, tip for everybody that's listening, you should look up and search for your local county estate planning council and see if you can find an event to go to. The room will likely be filled with a third estate planning attorneys, a third wealth management bankers, and a third certified financial planners. And it was really beneficial from a standpoint that it reinforced me actually showing up multiple times. So I see those faces again, whether or not I had the opportunity to have an in-depth conversation with attorneys. I did introduce myself to one attorney, and she gave me a high five again this month. And she asked, do you cover the next county over? Why, of course I do. And she said, okay, good. How about if we went up to this town? And because she understood, based on my elevator pitch, the last quarterly meeting, that I am someone that's there to help people deal with the physical aspects of the estate, deal with the stuff. And I said, well, that's that's starting to get up into bumpkin country, and it's an hour and a half away from me. That probably would be something, but we are expanding our team to go into that particular region. We're just not there yet. But she, described to me as a story that, well, I've got two co-administrators of this particular estate, and then they have siblings. So it's 2 versus 2. there's 4 beneficiaries of the estate. They want to use this person to help sell the house. That's all they have left. And then they had the other 2 wanted to use someone else. They said she gave them a deadline till Friday. And she said, if you don't decide, I'm going to pick, and it may not be either of y'all's choices. And she said, so be prepared for a call on Friday. So those types of things, again, it's just the opportunity to be in front of the people that are dealing with the actual PRs and helping them with the legal aspects to make sure that the estate, that probate can be closed and everybody can move on with their lives. And if you build those relationships and you offer them help, such as date of death valuations. I think if you go back to previous episodes of the Mastermind, and it's at 37-minute mark where John Cooper explains how he offers help to attorneys. Those are all things that you can have in normal, rational, face-to-face conversations with attorneys. And that type of environment can be an excellent environment for you to, they're typically happy hours, at least the one that in my county is. And you go to happy hour, you can stand there at the bar. Just be a bar flower, if you will. Just stand there, and as people come up and order their drinks, hey, how you doing today? My name's Chuck. That's how you start a conversation with an attorney. Hello, my name is Chuck. And of course, if your name's not Chuck, don't use that. But from that standpoint, I think it's really important to get out there. The other meeting I went to earlier this week was, there's a monthly networking group for senior outreach services. So again, it's being able, I'm in this for the long game. So I'm building relationships with those folks, because guess who shows up? People that are representing hospice centers. Well, what happens with hospice centers? People are, taking care of the very last days. So being able to build those relationships, and they have relationships with the families that are going through that difficult time. There may be questions that come up. Oh my goodness, we didn't expect this to happen so quickly, and we need to do this. And they have those close relationships, and building relationships with those particular people can be very, very important based on how you position yourself in the market for how you help people.
Mm-hmm.
And Chuck, you remind me of Bruce. It reminds me of our clubhouse call last night. We had a guy who was he'd been a realtor for a number of years and had quite a database. He was trying to figure out how to get his wholesaling business going. And his question was, should I, call every realtor I know one at a time, or should I get on some kind of a conference call? And we said both. And you just reminded me that the same thing applies to attorneys. You can stop by their offices, you can get on the phone with them one at a time, try to make contact, or you can join a group like that. And it was probably been about 2 years since this has come up, joining the bar association groups. Just like the board of realtors will let in inspection companies and title companies, most bar association groups will allow outsiders to come in. And we had a guy a couple of years ago that wasn't getting any traction with the group, and then he noticed that they had a sponsorship opportunity where he could show up for the meeting with all the attorneys in the county, buy lunch, and get a chance to speak for 10 or 15 minutes. And he did that and got such good response. We had another guy maybe a month or so later who called the local bar and said, could I buy you guys lunch? And they said, well, nobody's ever done that before, but sure. I'll let you get up, buy a group of 30, 40 people lunch and get a chance to get up and speak to the whole group. So the micro, macro, I mean, it works. It works with attorneys. It works any kind of, do both. It's kind of the same thing. Should I call the executors the attorneys? We always say, yes, do both. Both is better than focusing on just one, and more than one approach is better than just taking a singular approach, no matter who you're trying to prospect to. So good point.
I would kind of add in that a lot of people are looking for that one magic thing. That's the equivalent of looking for the home run, and your job is to get on base. And getting on base, if I were to ask the majority of you on here, if somebody would raise your hand and I could ask you live, I guarantee I'd get this answer. What's your primary goal? And your primary goal would be to sell more houses. And we get so focused on getting contracts or getting listings. That's the focus that we have. And it's singular focused, and we're looking right over top of the steps to get there. And the steps to get there are build a pipeline. Build a pipeline. It's all you're trying to do. And if you focus on building your pipeline, the deals will come. And in order to focus on building your pipeline, you need multiple different facets of the business. So someone had chatted in a little bit ago and asked, should I call first? Should I mail first? And the answer is yes. You should probably get mail out the door right away. If you're more comfortable following up, using your call to follow mail, that's totally fine. But you guys should be doing both. There's nothing that says that you have to wait on your letter to land in the mailbox before you call. All right, nothing at all that says that you have to do that. Now, it does create a little bit of a warmer conversation at times, but you should be doing both. And I tell people, don't just get so hyper focused on only one aspect. So to Michael earlier, hey, I want to offer this to out-of-state PRs. That's great. You can have a target. Don't ignore the additional targets, because your pipeline comes from attorneys. It comes from sphere of influence. It comes from networking groups. It comes from your list. It comes from your vendors. It comes from the PRs, the family members. It comes from kind of everything. Your job is fill the pipeline. The pipeline will take care of your end goal, which is the signed agreement.
Yeah. Now we did have one question come in. They were asking, okay, would love to hear Chuck's elevator speech, right? Or my elevator pitch. Like if I'm going into one of those meetings, and it's pretty simple. It's not something that I memorized specifically, but it goes something very similar to how I'm going to have a prospecting call. And Bruce, we're halfway in the middle of this month's Mastering Your Prospecting Conversations class. So that's ongoing right now. That is something that we do offer here at ATL to help people formulate their custom approach for how to speak to people. Mine is very simple. If like in this particular case, I'm wearing a name tag and they're looking at it like, Lancaster State Solutions, what's that? I'm so glad that you asked. What we do is we help people settle estates, focusing on the physical aspects, because I know who I'm talking to. If I'm talking to an attorney or a CFP, I don't need to say we help people settle estates easier than doing it alone, but I need to emphasize the physical aspects. I say we can basically act in the capacity of the right hand of an executor of an estate. We can outsource a lot of the heavy lifting to us, be it dealing with the personal property, eliminating the trash, and getting all those type things handled. We have experts that are able to evaluate the value of the personal property and identify what's best to be sold, where to sell it, what's good to be donated, and those items that you thought were worth something are actually trash, and we can get rid of those. So we act as a guide and the right hand for executors that are dealing with settling an estate. And then I'll turn that and ask them, tell me, what were some of the biggest, hairiest, scariest probate cases that you were involved with that you needed to settle? Oh my goodness. The one that sticks out to me the most is I had this one executor, I had all the beneficiaries were out of the country, and I had to do all of that myself. And it was a nightmare. I didn't have the time. I had a heavy caseload. It was a nightmare. Where were you 6 months ago? And that's many of those conversations that I have when I'm out networking, whether I'm talking to my sphere or whoever, and they ask what I do and those types of things. And I describe how we help people. Oh my goodness, that's such a valuable service. There's so many people that need that. And where were you so many months ago when we lost my mother-in-law, and et cetera, et cetera. And there's such a need out there. If you're willing to look outside of just your real estate bubble to offer the services, which can be a collaboration between your referral partners that are typically already involved with many of our listing preparation activities to get a house on the market anyway. There may be some additional resources that you need to go build a relationship with, but get out there and network and build those relationships. It really, really pays off.
Awesome. Good.
Bruce, we have Derek's got his hand up.
Yep. Before I go to Derek, Derek, I'll go ahead and have you unmute yourself. Before I do, our fearless CEO, Tim, who I think just fell off of a spaceship. Can you breathe up there okay, Tim?
Yeah, I know.
I think you wanted to say something.
Oh, no, I'm okay. I just kind of gotten on. I'm here at the Redneck Woodstock. I'm at Country Thunder in Kissimmee for 3 days to get country music out. I'm doing fine. I'm just right now listening. I've got somebody ask a question about mail. I'll get to that in a minute.
Awesome. All right. Hey, Derek, what do you got, man? Good to see you.
Thank you, guys. Likewise. I understand all the marketing aspect of it. What I'm having problems with, I took the mastery course probably about a year and a half ago, and I kind of lost all my notes, is kind of the timeline. You know, when I'm taking a listing, when can I actually take the listing? What documents do I need from the court to be able to take the listing? And also, when can I actually sell the house? When can we close on it? Do I need another document from the court allowing that? I don't know. I don't know the names of those documents. I don't know, how to go about getting them or requesting them from the attorney. I like to know a little bit more informed so I don't come across as not knowing what I'm talking about if I don't even know what kind of forms to use.
What state are you in?
Florida, Miami-Dade.
Okay, I honestly think that you're overthinking this a little bit. I am not familiar with Florida real estate law. I'll tell you that I'm vaguely familiar enough to, with 95% confidence, tell you just take a regular listing, you work hand in hand with their attorney. If they do not have an attorney, you make sure that the proceeds from the sale go into the estate's bank account. You shouldn't, unless it's a special circumstance, and special circumstances would be like guardianship, or if they don't have enough proceeds in the estate to cover their debts. Those are really the only two primary special circumstances. There are others, but those are the two primary ones. Normally, you're just going to sell it just like usual. You want to get a copy of the will. Absolutely get a copy of the will if they have one. Make sure that they've given a list of heirs and that they've opened an estate bank account. And that's what is going to go to the closing attorney or title company that closes the deal. Otherwise, you sign a listing agreement with the PR. The additional heirs will most likely need to sign the closing documents. Most likely that's state dependent. But I don't think that you really are going to need many extra forms. I'm sure there are some folks in Florida here that can correct me if I'm wrong.
Nope, I'm born and raised in Florida, but done a ton of them here. That you're exactly right, Bruce. As soon as the executor is appointed, as soon as the will either designate an executor or the court will appoint one. But as soon as the executor is appointed, the executor is authorized to sign the listing. And I'll be honest with you, I've taken listings before that point because I believe that, yeah, you're going to be the executor. Let's go ahead and get it listed. Now, it might not have been enforceable, if they wanted to back out of the listing, but it at least allowed me to get the process going. If the probate has not been completed, you can still, it's a big misnomer or misinformation. The executors will tell you all the time, well, my attorney said it's going to be 4 more months until I can sell the property. And that's not what the attorney said. What the attorney probably said was it's going to be 3 or 4 months till the probate is finished. Mm-hmm. But all you have to do is get the executor and the buyer to execute a contract, get it to the probate attorney. It usually, during COVID, it was taking longer, but we had one, it took about a week, 4 or 5 days to get a judge to sign off on closing. And you can go ahead and close, But as Bruce said, the new buyer gets title, they get title insurance, you get paid, but the estate's money goes into a bank account that they cannot cash or access until the probate's completed. So it's a good sales pitch to the executor that says, hey, I can't close for 3 or 4 months. Well, let me ask you, would you rather be cashing a check when the probate's done or just getting started at that time? You know, we can go ahead and get the process started, you know, get it sold, get some money in the bank, and in 3 or 4 months, you'll have a check waiting for you. Or is there a reason you want to actually get started in 3 or 4 months and, you know, and wait to get your money? Vast majority of them don't understand that distinction, and they think they heard something that the attorney didn't say. So it's
also be a good.
Go ahead, Tim.
Also be a good time to talk about cash advance,
Oh,
because
yeah.
in that circumstance where the house has been sold, their money is sitting in escrow, being held for the closing of probate. Part of what we offer with our relationship with our hedge fund folks is that you can offer them a cash advance on a ton of that money so they can get their hands on it almost immediately, and they will wait for the closing to be done. So if you've got it done and you sold it and there's $100,000 sitting there for the heirs to divide up, and one of them needs to get their money, they can get it all right out of there, and our cash advance partners will advance them the money, and they don't have to wait until the tail end of closing to get it done. And that may be a really good selling feature for you. And you should always keep that in mind when you're dealing with people, that you have the ability to get their money even before closing, even before the probate gets closed.
Yep.
Great advice. Tim, the cash advance partners, are anybody aligned with ATL, all the leads, or just kind of have to find my own here in Miami-Dade, or doesn't really matter?
No, you come right through us. It's literally an entry in our user portal. You fill out the form. You get a special rate for doing it that way. You actually can earn a commission on doing it as well from the cash advance folks, and you just enter the information, and they'll be immediately in touch with you within 24 hours, and they'll deal directly with your folks to get them squared away and advance the money. And they've done it literally as rapidly as 24 hours. So they can get them money like quickly, and super easy to do. Plus, if you have one of our credibility websites, we literally build that into your credibility website, so you can take them directly to your website where they can fill the form out to do that.
Okay.
Either
Tim,
place, it's a form that gets filled out.
When you say we, you talk about all the leads. Are you with all the leads, Tim?
Yeah, I'm
okay.
I'm unfortunately, I'm the CEO of all the leads.
Okay.
And by the way, Alyssa just posted the link in the chat there. Direct link to cash advance.
Great. Okay. Well, thanks, guys. Yeah, I guess I was overthinking. I thought we needed order from the judge that be able to sell it, be able to list it. I guess not. Okay.
There are instances, Derek, that a judge does need to order or approve the sale, but that's going to be a rarity. When you sign the listing agreement, you should get letters testamentary, so the authorization from the court granting the PR administrative authority. So they should give you a copy of that just for your records. And they should give you a copy of the will if they have one for your records, just so you can make sure that you're not cutting anyone out. Now, I've dealt with that a couple of times where I've signed a listing agreement, and then all of a sudden another relative pops up with a will that I didn't know about. So it is good that if they have a will, you get it, you get a copy, just in case there's a family dispute down the road.
Sure. Okay.
Well, and it's also very important to get that, because that's one of the biggest things that the cash advance folks have to prove that one or more of the heirs is in fact covered in the will, so that if there's cash there, they know what it is. And that's one of the first things they'll ask for, is that, does the will say that Sally or Joe is an heir, and what do they get? So it's important to get the copy of the will. But this applies, what I'm talking about, it applies no matter where you are, whether it's in Florida or anywhere else. A lot of states, it does take longer to get to it, and they do maybe make you wait to get your money. It's not that way in Florida. Like Jim said, we can do it outside of it. But in any state, if you got it and you can prove in the will that they're doing it, that's what the whole purpose of the cash advance program is.
And I was just going to add, I think that's one of our most underutilized tools. We talk about it. There are so many circumstances when you can use that. If you're talking to someone, to an heir that thinks the house is in such bad shape that they have to sell it for 100,000 under market rather than make 20,000 worth of repairs, you can give them another option. Go ahead and borrow the money, fix the house up, and spend 20 and get 60. There's so many different ways you could use that once you start using it. I think it's very underutilized by most of our subscribers, so I'm glad you brought it up.
And Jim, do you want a ninja tip linked to the cash advance?
What's that now?
Do you want a ninja tip linked to the cash advance?
Sure.
So in my conversations with the attorneys, I brought that up as kind of like an after the fact point to say, and by the way, I do have the ability that I can get your executors a cash advance on their inheritance. You want to see an attorney's head with a rubber band attached to it and snap and look right at you when they're not paying attention? That'll do it. Because really, tell me more.
Might even get them paid sooner, right? Might get the attorney paid sooner.
Right.
So there are advantages to a lot of the things that we have here at ATL to offer you. Not only, and I'm not patting myself on the back with the coaching, but thinking through this, we're immersed in this day in and day out, and we're active in this business and looking at ways to actually go out and build those relationships and continue to bring value to the relationship for those people that we're courting as referral partners. By being able to bring value, that's how you will wedge yourself in and become that go-to resource for your referral partners.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Cool beans.
Derek,
Hey,
thanks.
I'm sorry. I did see we had a question in the chat, and Jessica had pointed out that she frequently gets asked whether or not people should mail first or call first. And I think, we've sort of drifted off from, in the beginning, what we said was send 3 letters, make 3 phone calls. And obviously we've adapted our style as we've found out what becomes more and more successful. But I think I want to put a stick in the ground and point out that at least in that first mailing, you need to get that mail out just as quickly as you can get your leads and let it do the work for you. At least put a document in the hands of the personal representative and get that mail out and follow that up as a somewhat warm phone call. So that first set of leads that comes out, when you get those leads, get that first letter out there. You should be doing multiple touches, and Bruce can talk more about that, but don't wait to get the mail out. And then as soon as you know the mail is gone, we basically will send you your copy of it. As soon as it hits your mailbox, it's time to start dialing for dollars, and you start dialing through the PRs. And that way you're calling and you're saying, hey, I want to make sure that you got the information that I sent you, and it's a good place to start the conversation. So the answer to that is certainly get it out there and get it done, and it'll give you plenty of time to get it out, as long as you've got it set up so that your leads go. Within 2-3 days of you getting your leads, it's in their mailbox.
Good stuff. And I don't have a whole lot to add to that. I'm just going to tell you guys that depending on your market, 3 months is good. It might be 9 months that some of you want to run. But again, remember, your goal is not the deal. The deals that you put together, the transactions you put together, are the byproduct of your goal. And your goal is filling your pipeline. So your goal is to identify as many lukewarm, warm, or hot people that are probably going to sell a house as possible. Once you've filled your pipeline up with that number of people, that's who you're going to concentrate on at that point. And if you concentrate on them long enough, a certain percentage, and should be a good percentage, are going to fall out into your lap and do business with you, as long as you don't forget your pipeline. So we spend all this time working on cold leads, and everybody starts cold. But when you call and your ultimate primary thing is, hey, I got to get that listing agreement. Hey, I got to get that contract signed to buy the house. you're shooting yourself in the foot, because when they resist you, which many times they do, you don't really know if you have a future pipeline prospect. So go after your letters and your calls from the standpoint of, I'm looking for rapport and I'm looking for information on whether this person is going to do a deal in the future. Might not be with you, but you've got a good chance of it being with you. If you put them in that pipeline and you continue to work on them, you continue to provide value.
Yep. And when it comes to that, it really comes down to all the way back at the beginning, Bruce, when you talked about the third door, it's consistency doesn't fail. People fail to be consistent. So what does that mean? That means that hard work pays off. And to add to that, relationships make the world go round. So it's not only relationships with potential referral partners, but it's with those PRs. Your relationship begins with that first contact. So Bruce, to summarize what you just said, is continue those relationships with the folks that you've already made an initial contact with. And that's what, and consistently doing that will pay off.
Folks, Mike's got his hand up. I have a class at 2:00, so 1 minute ago. Michael, go ahead and unmute yourself. If it's quick, I'll stay on. We'll help address it. If it's a little bit longer, I'm going to have to jump off and let it be addressed by the other coaches, because we've got Prospecting Mastery Day number 2 today. Which, by the way, if you've never taken that, join next month.
That's quick.
All right, go ahead, Michael.
So this is quick. This is a marketing idea for the guys there at all the leads. So what you need to do is you need to print up a no trespassing sign that has a list of my services on the back side of it. And it's something that I can mail out to potential clients. Make it in vinyl or something that's foldable. I can put it in an 8.5 by 11 manila envelope and send it whole, and it can go to the end user. So, and I want a royalty on this idea too. So, quarter, 30 cents or whatever. But I want a penny. I want a royalty for lifetime, right?
Kevin O'Leary never gets any of the deals. Kevin never gets any of the deals on the Shark because people don't like royalties. So, but
we will always consider you royalty. Yeah, that's a great idea.
You got it. So it's on the web now, right? So I got documentation that it's my idea, so I claim it right now.
Great idea.
Like I said, we will always consider you to be royalty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now put a little change in the pocket, buddy.
Thank you, King Michael. We appreciate it. Yeah.
Thanks, bud.
All right. Well, we started and ended with Michael. A momentous 400th call, guys. Can't thank you enough for being here. I want to challenge each of you to be proactive. We started and ended with that word. Take one idea, one thing that inspired you on this call, go out and put it into practice. Come back next Wednesday for our clubhouse, and come back next Thursday and be on this Zoom with us again. Have a great week, everybody. We'll talk to you same time next week. Take care.